Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Aluga. Thanks so much for being here Monday, November 3rd. Your Jaguars coming off of a win. It certainly was that. A win. Gutsy performance. Sloppy performance against the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Jaguars win in overtime 30-29. A lot of things go right. A lot of things go wrong. Jaguars ultimately able to gut it out and win against a bad Raiders team. And make no mistake about it, even with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Max Crosby, that is not a good team in Las Vegas. There's some talent, there's some coaching, all that stuff, but it's not a good team. The Jaguars should have been able to beat them more handily than they did, even with all the injuries the Jaguars were dealing with. I still think that the biggest issue for the Jaguars is self-inflicted wounds. We're going to talk about areas the Jaguars must improve. Like, gave them their flowers last night, gave them their flowers this morning. It's great that they're 5-3. It's great that they are a couple games ahead of the Texans and they play the Texans this weekend. It's great that the Colts lost, the Texans lost, the Titans lost, all in the same weekend, right? It's great that they're in the 7th seed right now in the AFC. If the playoffs started today, they'd be in the playoffs. They'd be in the dance. But they have a lot of work to do in a lot of different ways. Better to be getting that work done at 5-3 than 4-4, no question about it. We're going to dive into that stuff, though. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out GenJag.com right now. We have a Victory Monday sale, 30% off everything to celebrate the Jaguars scoring 30 points. Code DUVAL, DUUUVAL. That's 3 U's. Code DUVAL. GenJag.com. Lots of fun gear. Help support the channel. Save a little bit of money while doing it today as well. So, penalties and drops are the two ways in which the Jaguars are beating themselves the most, in my opinion. You also have the one or so plays a game from Trevor Lawrence that are just head scratch. I mean, that interception, after what was a great drive by Trevor Lawrence, that interception was just crippling. And he's able to overcome it. Obviously, he was dealing with like flu-like symptoms, whatever you want to call it, against the Raiders in this one. Was up all night, sick, as Marissa Lawrence shared with everyone. Liam Cohen talking about how he was, like pale as a ghost on the sideline. But Trevor Lawrence, he does have a penchant for making a big mistake in games, but he also has a penchant for playing really well at the end of games and being money late in games. You want to be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, everything around him could be a lot more consistent as well. But I think the penalties, pre-snap specifically, the drops, which again, I had some people in the comment section and on Twitter saying like it didn't feel like the drops were as egregious in this one. I completely disagree. The Jaguars drop situation has not gone away. And it's not the guys like, Parker Washington dropping the ball in this game, or it's not the guys that are having to step up and play more because of injuries, really. Like De'Ami Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Hunter Long obviously shouldn't be targeted a ton. If Brenton Strange was back, that wouldn't be an issue. But the drops are a major issue. Bottom line. Point blank, end of story. The top guys on the team, and yeah, Travis Hunter. If you had him, he's not dropping the football a lot. But the drops, the lack of execution at times by receivers, and I do think Brian Thomas Jr. had a good game overall. But De'Ami Brown had a horrible game. You just don't have bodies at receiver as well. But that's a whole nother issue. But the penalties, beating yourself, pre-snap. You had 2 in a row that negated nice Parker Washington plays. Penalties pre-snap, drops. Trevor Lawrence having that 1 or 2 plays a game that you really cannot have. And look, quarterbacks aren't going to be perfect. Receivers aren't going to be perfect. Offensive linemen aren't going to be perfect. It's just that, to me, the penalties and drops are happening way too often, and Trevor Lawrence is having at least one of those plays like every game. So that stuff has to get cleaned up. You have to stop beating yourself, otherwise you're not going to beat good teams. Yes, they beat the Raiders, but they're not going to be beating good teams the way they played on Sunday. And I don't think that they should expect to play as poorly as they played on Sunday in most games. But regardless of all the other issues we're going to talk about, beating yourselves cannot be one of those issues. It can't. Week in, week out. And it mostly has been for the Jaguars. And when they've played good teams as of late, the Seahawks and the Rams, it's been a struggle. Now the Jaguars did not beat themselves against the Chiefs. They did not have very many penalties against the Chiefs. There were some drops, but overall, they played well against the Chiefs. They didn't really beat themselves consistently against the Chiefs. Against the 49ers, they had some penalties, but they were able to score, special teams touchdown. They played really good defense. And then you talk about beating the Panthers, who all of a sudden look like a pretty good team. They were not a good team when they played in week 1. So yeah, they're 5-3, but they've beaten themselves too often. And they would have given themselves a chance to win against the Seahawks if they had not beaten themselves. So that's got to clean up. That's got to get cleaned up. So defensively, like tackling was an issue yesterday. I don't think that is an issue that's like a foundational issue of this team. I think they've been a good tackling team overall. I think Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty present a lot of problems. They're going to make a lot of people miss tackles throughout their careers. Two young, really amazingly talented young players. But I also think part of that is not just Genty and Bowers, but the fact that you're missing Devin Lloyd, Eric Murray, Trayvon Walker. As soon as he leaves, the Raiders start scoring a lot more points as well. Jordan Lewis misses most of the game. Obviously, Travis Hunter not available. Defensively, it was a lot of guys that you do not expect to have to be on the field very often. Antonio Johnson not playing well. Ventrell Miller lost in space a little bit. Doing a pretty good job coming downhill, but lost in space a little bit. Foye Oluokun didn't have his best game, right? He missed some tackles as well. But, Jarian Jones out there doing his best, obviously. Newsome and Brown playing more than they would if Travis Hunter was healthy. They need to get healthy on defense. That's one of their biggest issues right now. They've got to find a way to get healthy on defense. If they can't, and I think they should. Travis Hunter is obviously going to be out for at least 4 weeks, right? But beyond Travis Hunter, can you get Eric Murray, Devin Lloyd, Jordan Lewis, and not have Trayvon Walker punching somebody in the face, side of the helmet, right? Can you get those guys back on the field? Because they are some of your better defensive players when it comes to the back seven. They absolutely are. And, Trayvon, front seven. He needs to be out there. They need to be able to get Devin Lloyd out there. And it felt like, Murray and Lloyd were pretty close. Jordan Lewis left with a shoulder injury. You hope you can get him back. Obviously, Trayvon Walker should be back. I don't think he's getting suspended. A big part of the defensive issues today, in my opinion, were health-related. And I think they should be able to get some guys back on defense. That's where we're at there. Do want to remind you all about Underdog Fantasy Football season. We are about halfway through it. Absolutely crazy. But Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is super easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. And now you also have team picks on Underdog. You can pick which teams are going to win games. You can take a look at the spread. I like the Cowboys to beat the Cards tonight on Monday Night Football. I like Dak Prescott higher than 271.5 passing yards. All you got to do is download the app today and sign up with promo code Duval Daily to score $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Duval Daily. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms. _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. So, again, health on defense, yeah, they need that in a big way. They had backups at every level out there. On Sunday. Stop beating yourselves. Yeah, that's a obvious. If you can't be a team that executes with a little bit more regularity in the areas that are completely controllable, you're going to be in trouble. I thought the kick coverage overall feels like a pretty big issue right now. Multiple big returns for the Raiders in this game. The Jaguars have given up a fair amount of big returns throughout the year so far. I think opposing teams have had really good field position in a lot of games. So I think that's absolutely something they need to clean up. And the big one for me that I think we've been talking about for a while that would be a huge area that I'd be looking to upgrade before the trade deadline, which is tomorrow, which is, pass rush in some form or fashion. Pass rush, absolutely. Trayvon Walker, good player. Josh Hines-Allen, very, very, very good player. Eric Armstead, again, I think so we can look at Eric Armstead's stats, right? I think Eric Armstead is making plays, right? But is he consistently making these plays? I think he's been a volume shooter this year. I've said that multiple times. And he's not a bad player to have as a starter, to have as a heavy rotation, a guy that's in your lineup a lot. He has 25 pressures. He has 4 PFF sacks, which half sacks counts as full sacks. But he's racking up some numbers. 4 pressures against the Raiders, 4 pressures against the Rams, 3 pressures against the Seahawks, 6 pressures against San Francisco, and, huge play at the end of the game. 3 pressures against Cincinnati. He has at least 3 pressures as an interior defensive lineman in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Jaguars games so far. But it's on pretty big numbers in terms of the pass rush snaps. It hasn't been overly impressive. It's been pretty good, but nothing crazy. And I just think beyond Eric Armstead, what else are you getting from your other guys? Agba had a pretty good game against the Raiders, but he has been below average as a pass rusher. Smoot hasn't done a lot for the Jaguars as a pass rusher so far this year. Devon Hamilton is as close to a nothing burger as a pass rusher as you're going to get. Obviously, kudos to him. Without him, the Jaguars don't win the game, and he's a very good run stuffer. He's like a very good nose tackle in this league. Going up and batting that pass at the line of scrimmage saved the game for the Jaguars on the 2-point conversion. But he's not a pass rusher. Mason Smith, I think, absolutely is a penetration style player, but he's just not getting the reps because I think he still has a lot of development to do technically and mentally within this defensive system. So, again, where is it? Gardeck, love Dennis Gardeck, but they're using him as a very versatile player, moving him all around. So you need the pass rush. You need it. Absolutely. Where is it going to come from? Is it going to come from within? Obviously, Josh Hines-Allen giving you that. Trayvon Walker should give you more of that moving forward. Where else is it coming from with any consistency? I don't know. I'd be looking on the trade market without question. And then wide receiver as well. Brian Thomas Jr. dealing with ankle injury through this game. Also had the shoulder injury coming into it. Had the wrist injury earlier in the season. De'Ami Brown has a shoulder injury. Travis Hunter is out for at least 4 weeks. It seems like it's probably going to be more, but that's really speculation. He was having more testing done today to get more information there. But Tim Patrick missed this game with a groin injury. So you literally had, late in the game, you had Austin Trammell, Tim Jones, and Parker Washington out there on the field together. I mean, kudos to Trammell making a big play as a returner. Kudos to Tim Jones making a big play for the Jaguars late in the game. Got them a big first down. But that is not ideal. That is not ideal. Now, is Brian Thomas Jr. healthy coming out of the game? Don't really know. De'Ami Brown, I just don't think you can rely on him. Travis Hunter obviously gone. Brenton Strange, when are you going to get him back? If he can come back soon, that would be a big help. So, like, if you had Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, and then De'Ami as like a role player while you're waiting on Travis Hunter to be back whenever that may be. It might not even be this year. We don't know. Could that work? Could that be enough? Maybe, but I would want more. I would want someone else. De'Ami Brown experiment's not working, and that's absolutely what it was. It was an experiment. The 1-year deal. Asked them to prove it. Not proving it, right? Not proving it in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion, De'Ami Brown. Maybe that has a lot to do with the shoulder injury. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Regardless, it's not happening, right? It's just not happening for him with the Jaguars very well, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'd be looking at wide receiver as well. And it has nothing to do with Brian Thomas Jr. It's really Travis Hunter. Not having Travis Hunter, it's crippling because you were about to be relying on him incredibly heavily. Like that, they had started upping his snap count on offense consistently, and then he has a 14 target game against the Rams. They're planning on using him as much as they possibly can coming out of the bye week. Has the knee injury in practice, so yeah, I'd be looking at someone who you feel like you can rely on. Someone who you can build around, because wide receiver, it's not just right now. I think even beyond 2025, yes, you do have BTJ and you do have Travis Hunter, and I believe Parker Washington will be under contract for another year, right? This is his 3rd year. Yeah, he'll be under contract through 2026. But De'Ami Brown, you're not going to bring him back after the way things are going. You don't really have anybody else long term. So, yeah, you could use another receiver, not just for 2025. Now, if you go and get one that's just for 2025, I don't blame you if you go trade for one. But I wouldn't mind trading for one that you can potentially have around for a little while, as long as, contractually, money-wise, cap space-wise, it all makes sense. But that's where I'm at. That's where the Jaguars need to improve. They got to stop beating themselves with penalties and drops. Trevor Lawrence needs to, start a little bit faster. And he had some really big moments early in the game, this game, but had the horrible interception. Defense, got to find some help there. Got to get more pass rush. Got to improve the kick coverage. I think you probably need to add a receiver. I think you probably need to add a pass rusher. That's where I'm at. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Really appreciate y'all being here. Have a good one.